Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here on my next Legend of Korra Book 3 Change episode commentary. This one's going to be for Book 3 Change, obviously, Episode 5, The Metal Clan. First of all, sorry about not being able to get a commentary out last week, because the kind of Book 3 art book arrived kind of suddenly. Doing that video kind of bumped me doing this video out, so I'll try and get 2 commentaries out this week to make up for that. And in general, I was kind of wanted to speed up getting these commentaries out because I have to do book 4 as well. So yeah, maybe I'll get more than 2 out this week. But for now, we're focusing on K305 The Metal Clan. So to sync up your copy of the episode with this commentary track, have the episode ready to play at from the intro, basically, of the episode, including the Kyoshi, the thing that starts off with Kyoshi, the earth, fire, water bit, and once you have that ready to go, I'm going to stop speaking in a minute, and then after a pause, I'll start speaking again, and when I come back from that pause, you hit play and you'll be synced up with my commentary track, because I'll be hitting play on mine at the same time. So, yep, that's how you'll sync it up. So I'm going to stop speaking now, press play when I start speaking again. Okay, so here we are with K305, The Metal Clan. Episode that is really important because it introduces us to the new Bei Fong characters in Su Yin, Lin's half-sister, and her family. And they end up being pretty important in terms of having a kind of more minor plot through book 3 and 4. Like, it really doesn't get resolved until towards the end of book 4, with obviously the introduction of Toph in book 4. So I like that we do get this other kind of plot that continues across seasons. It's not fully resolved here. We get the kind of in book 3 it's more focused on Lin and Sue's relationship, and in the next book it's more focused on Lin and Toph. So I like that. It's pretty cool. And this is just a nice scene actually here, just to see Korra playing with Naga, and like how she just like sends these things flying off miles away, and Naga just appears back a few seconds later, and how you really get the introduction to Lin kind of this book. She really kind of becomes more of a main player here, and you just see straight away that Lin is not the most upbeat person, not wanting to play with Naga, and real setup for the fact that she is concerned about the fact that they're heading to Zaofu because they heard that there's an airbender there, who was later going to be revealed to be Lin's niece, Opal. And again, look at this. Naga's just like, please play with me, and then she pops the ball. And Naga just has the worst day ever. Poor girl. But yeah, we get to see Zaofu, which is definitely the best location we see in book 3. And apart from Spirit World locations, it's probably the best new location we get in The Legend of Korra, Zaofu. The idea of basically a place in the Earth Kingdom, but it's metal bending focus. It's really cool. It's this kind of utopian-like place, which has really great technology and a really different look than the rest of the Earth Kingdom. It's just such an interesting place to explore as we go on. And straight away, you see that Lin is acting, while she's still acting her usual self, she's purposefully staying away from this place, doesn't want anyone to know she's here, and is not saying why that's the case. And we're very quickly going to find out why, but I like the extra focus on Lin that we get here, because she wasn't really in book 2 that much. But here's Ai Wei, who is a minor character overall. He basically gets killed off in this book, but yes, pretty interesting. He's obviously has kind of special powers of his own, able to see the kind of if people are telling the truth or not, which is interesting. He's kind of an acupuncturist as well, so that's pretty nice. And yeah, there's some of the ways Fu works. And yeah, almost forget that this is actually a side plot in the episode, but This is the episode where we have Zahir's infiltration of Air Temple Island to find out more information about Guru Lahima. But yeah, it's pretty interesting because he's a new airbender and he can airbend reasonably well because of his martial arts background. But this is his first real experience coming to a place where there are traditional airbenders. So to some extent, he's a person who respects the kind of culture, traditions of airbenders, and to some extent he must actually like being around these airbenders, but he's there for his own goals to find out more information about Guru Lahima. So only a minor plot, but an important one. There's Toph, which, you know, I like that it's made out to be a really big thing in Korra, that Toph discovered metal bending. She is the first metal bender. This is a place all based around metal bending, and she's made out to be a big deal. And the setup for, like, where is she? And this was a big moment for me when you got the explanation here that she's left in search of enlightenment. Everyone was just like, wow, Toph has changed if she's out searching for enlightenment. Toph must be a very different character now than she was before. Because the ATLA characters we've met up to now, like Zuko in book 2, earlier on this book actually, it made sense that, like, that was him, basically an older version of himself. Aang made sense, but Toph seems different than what we know of her, even though we haven't met her yet. So very interesting. And yeah, we get to see a little bit of Kuvira here in addition to Su Yin, and just some of the more artistic aspects of this town of Zaofu, just that they have this stuff going on. Just that Su Yin's interested in the arts and stuff like that. They have their own culture as well, and they're not just technology focused. And yeah, Su Yin, really cool character. And it just says a lot that she has all these various hobbies, and she says that everyone in the city basically has a wide variety of interests and stuff like that. She's the complete opposite in many ways of Lin, but at the same time you can tell she's a Beifong, and there's the setup for Aiwei's ability. He's a truth seer. And it's like, he can sense the subtle changes. So what is that power? Like, how can he sense that Korra's heart is beating quicker and stuff like that? And here's the big reveal. Lin Beifong is with them. And the reveal that they're sisters. And no one seems to know this. Because obviously she has issues with her family, so why would she talk about it? It's like, what? And yeah, and then you get the reveal later, like basically here I think is where we get the reveal that half-sister. So it's just like, oh, same mom, different dads, like, who are these people? And straight away, like, something we've always wanted to know, just with Lin, who's Lin's father, but now, who's Su Yin's father? Book 4 reveals that Lin's father is just this random guy called Kanto, but who's Su Yin's father? And it's specifically, like, we got family trees from Nick.com fairly recently, and they didn't reveal who Su Yin's father was, even though they listed him as unknown. So it must be something important, the fact that they're not telling us who it is specifically. I don't really know what this situation is. But yeah, Su Yin's daughter is the new airbender. And that's just interesting that Toph, the Beifongs have an airbender in their ranks now. And with how much Toph seems to like just make fun of Aang for being an airbender, you know, Twinkle Toes, it's so fun to just see that, you know, Opal has is an airbender. It's just a really interesting situation. You don't really get much of a comment made about it from like Toph to Opal really like at all, but it's just fun. I suppose the biggest you get is in book 4, the scene where Toph mentions something about Opal's bison juices, so that's nice. And yeah, this is actually fairly important, I suppose, for Batar's character in book 4, in that we just got introduced to Wei and Wing there. We meet Huan here, and we learn a little bit about all of them, except Batar Jr. he's introduced just in the same sentence that Sue's husband, Batar Jr., is. So straight away, the idea that Batar Jr. constantly lives in the shadow of his father. He's not unique in himself. He's just kind of like another version of his father. And here's Opal, who I actually really like as a character. I think she's really cool design of a character, and a lot of people complain about her for being overly nice, but I kind of like that we have a character who is just nice, and that's who she is, and then straight away set up for Bolin and Opal's relationship. And primarily more that she likes Bolin, but Bolin isn't interested just yet, which is interesting. And yeah, Opal just enthusiastic to meet her aunt and stuff like that, but because of Lynn's issues with her family, she just doesn't want to. And because Opal is such a nice character, it really highlights how mean and not very open Lynn is to the whole situation. And a hint about how protective Su Yin is just there, and that she wants all the training to be done there rather than everyone to go to the air temples. And this is the safest city in the world. Lane really does want to stay. But yeah, this is a really nice scene here between Korra and Opal. She has some control over airbending powers already, unlike a lot of characters, but just a little bit of instruction from Korra here, and this is her first time instructing anyone in bending at all, so that's interesting that it works out. Like, Opal's little bit of control is really helped here, just when the two of them obviously make this little kind of cyclone of air. And it's just a really beautiful scene that gets across the kind of concepts of airbending, walking in a circle. And it's just like, given that even back in book one, airbending training wasn't a big focus, it's nice to have a little bit more about it. And yeah, it's just fun to see Milo and like Iki and so on being kind of the trainers here, that they're more experienced than people like 2, 3, 4 times their age, especially Milo. And then here's Zahir and his unique style of going through the gates. He has a little bit of the Bagua circle walking style, Be the Leaf, but a lot of it's just like acrobatics through the gates. And even though it's part of the act, he is respectful to Milo here, because to some extent he probably respects that Milo is pretty skilled. And here, this is why he's here. He's finding information about Korra because he obviously wants to go with them to where he assumes Korra is, but then he finds out, oh, they're not there, so where are they? That's also why he's here, in addition to, like, okay, while I'm here, I'll search for some Gurulahima stuff, since he likes his poetry, because he is a poet as well. And interesting thing is the tattoos that this guy has are fairly similar to Ghazan's tattoos, so maybe they're from the same place in the Earth Kingdom. Not that we get any explanation. The only mention of Batar Jr., like, in the whole book. I think he's at the table in, like, a later scene, but... And our oldest son, he doesn't even mention his name. And then again, they're completely opposite. Lin doesn't have a family. Su Yin has a big family. And, they have different approaches to nearly everything. And this is really interesting here, just Opal listening to Bolin talk about his life, and that it just starts off as a little bit awkward, like, oh, I've talked about how great my life is, and then you've just revealed that you grew up in the streets, but then Bolin starts explaining about all the stuff he's been through in, like, book 1 and 2, and then she's like, oh, wow, even though, like, you were, like, born in the streets, you've done so much more than I have. Like, I've lived a almost sheltered life compared to you, so I kind of like that. That's another thing that attracts her to Bolin, is that he's accomplished so much, and she only now is kind of understanding what her goal is. Like, as I said, everyone has a thing of their own. Like, Huon is the sculptor, Wei and Wing are kind of like the athletes, sports stars, Batar Jr. are the smart ones. She, up until she gains airbending, didn't seem to know what she wanted to do. And through finding airbending, she's like, maybe this is what I can do to explore the world like you, Bolin. And then, Varric and Zhu Li make their appearance in Book 3. Not a big appearance in any sense of the word, but just interesting that he does come back. Set up, I suppose, for him being more involved in Book 4, because he was an important minor character introduced in Book 2. And yeah, he's come to live in Zephu and be their basically technology consultant type thing. And yeah, the big thing with Sue is that she's willing to give people a second chance. She sees the potential in people and gives Varric a second chance here, while Lynn isn't kind of willing to give a second chance. Which I suppose is a reference to the past that we're going to get in like the next episode. And the big thing here is primarily that she is responsible in many ways for Toph having to quit the police force, yet explains away her bad actions by just saying, I was given a second chance, and so she gives a second chance to everyone, yet is not kind of taking responsibility for what happened in the past. But at the same time, Lynn is living in the past and won't let it go and move on, and is unwilling to give people a second chance. Just a fun reference here, just I suppose, to Bolin's weird love history. Just psycho ice princess, and now maybe a more normal girl like Opal is better for him, and he's just like, oh, usually I go for the weird types. Maybe you're right, Mako. Giving Opal a chance is worth it, and so he's like, okay. But at the same time, it also he tries to do his weird Bolin style thing when Opal is more interested in just how him as he's acting normal to her. We're gonna see here. But yeah, Korra goes to Sue to ask about Lynn. The important thing said there, just that neither of them never knew their father. So straight away that means that the fathers aren't really important to know who they are, really. And then because of Toph's strict upbringing, she let them have all the freedom in the world, and that didn't really help Sue, but it did help her in a certain way, in that she grew up to be free, but Lynn took on a lot of responsibility, and so she became too responsible, became the chief of police and stuff like that. Yeah, pirate ship, traveling circus, not here in the picture, confirmed in the art book, in case anyone was wondering. And yeah, she was just looking for her family because she kind of grew up kind of without one almost because of the whole situation in her past with Toph. And yeah, she's always wanted Lynn to be a part of it. It's the only thing that's kind of not made her life perfect, the fact that her sister has had a bad relationship. And I like that Korra from here kind of wants Lynn to kind of heal this relationship, because she sees some of the issues that Lynn has had, and so tries to help her. And here it is, Bolin trying to turn on the charm here, and I like how Opal just dismisses this. He's just kind of like, "Oh, you're acting like a weirdo. I'm walking off. I don't like you're talking to me." And then how he just kind of comes out and is suddenly honest, and I like how she isn't just angry at him because of the way he acted before. She is open about it then, that it's ultimately a fairly simple relationship, and it's just like both of them have to just be themselves, and it's a pretty good relationship. But you can sort of see how there's good communication between the two of them. Usually that in previous seasons that would be a romantic argument, but here it works out as just going from like hey Bolin, stop acting so weird, I don't like this, to please don't stop trying, just not try this hard. I like how their relationship develops over time. I think there's a scene in the next episode that I think is really shows the strength of the relationship. But yeah, let go your earthly tether, enter the void, empty and become wind. Important line there. And yeah, earthly tether is obviously earthly attachments, which the Avatar and some air nomads, I suppose, are asked to get rid of in the first place. Setting up straight away that the true, I suppose, highest form of airbending is just flight. And yeah, Iki is sent off, and Kaya's suspicious of Zahir for the first time, really, here. He's always admired the culture. And then she catches onto it. Maybe not the best explanation for why she catches onto it, but she's obviously heard that the Red Lotus have escaped, and he's the one who has airbending, so she kind of quickly catches onto it. And I like her. You don't hear that too often, just a character entering a fight and just screaming out when other people are around, I need some help. Like, too often than not, it's just like, no, you stay behind, I'll go alone. But no, Kaya's just like, I need some help. Engages the guy and waits for the rest of them to come, and here they come, White Lotus guards. And I think after this episode, we never see the White Lotus ever again in this season. They just don't do anything, which I think is ultimately a problem, because the one of the key lines from Zahir at the start of the book is that, I'm going to take out the White Lotus and soon the Avatar. Yet the White Lotus are not a part of this book, especially when the Red Lotus are a faction formed in direct response to disagreements with the Order of the White Lotus. It's weird that they just don't play a part at all. That's the likes of that group of kind of Tonraq, Zuko, Eska Desna don't really play a big part in the series, like in terms of like working for the White Lotus and so on. But that's more about like next episode and so on going forward. And this is a nice scene because Opal just talks about how excited she is to get to meet her kind of on for the first time. And she does understand how hard it is coming back for her, but she's sad that Lynn is so kind of mean to her, having never met her before. But Lynn is just so mean here, and it really gets across how deep the wounds are in her family, kind of, for Lynn. Just that she would say something so mean to someone so nice. And it's just really emotional that she does this. Korra even getting annoyed about this. Stop trying to fix my family. Bitter, lonely woman. Like, harsh words, but they kind of some of the only words that really hit Lynn here. And you see Lynn crying at the end, which we don't expect to see ever. So you get it. It really gets across the idea of like going to the next episode. Like, what exactly was it that caused such a big rift between Lynn and the rest of the family, that she is getting angry at anyone who wants to try and help her restore this relationship with her family, and even members of her family she's never met before, like Opal. So yeah, that's the episode. That's the commentary for K305 The Metal Clan, and yeah, I'll probably be recording the K306 Old Wounds commentary over the next few days, sometime in the next few days. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this commentary. Thanks for listening, and bye.